Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to do a review and overview of the Osprey Highlander pack from 1992, if I recall correctly. I think that's when I bought it. So obviously it's a vintage pack. It comes from an era that I consider the best, where Osprey was making their best packs, best designs, most bomb-proof construction. They were also all built in the United States still at that time, made in Dolores, Colorado, even before they made the move to Cortez. And then, of course, later they offshored their pack construction to Vietnam. Nothing against the modern packs, though. I mean, they're fantastic packs. I've used them. Really innovative designs, as always, for Osprey. I think they were always ahead of the game. Very ergonomic. Very comfortable, very heavy-duty load carrying, at least with these packs. I think some of the more modern packs, you have to get up into some of the more expensive packs like the Aether and some of those to get really, or to be able to really carry heavy loads. Some of the materials used these days and some of the designs are, I think, less robust, but that's because they're built to purpose. I think for 95% of people, they don't need anything more than that. And when you really need to carry load, then you can get something like an Aether or one of these vintage packs. Back in the day, all of the packs were built to those kinds of standards, so they could all carry heavy loads. When I was looking for a pack, like my first real backpacking pack, I looked at Osprey, Mountain Smith, North Face, Dana Design, all of those, and the Ospreys fit me the most. They were the most comfortable, especially with weight in the pack. For me, they were the most comfortable. They carried the best. They had the features I wanted. They had the construction that I wanted, so really big fan of them. So this pack is, I'm recording this in 2022, and this pack is still going strong. I haven't used it as much as I would have liked, but it's still, it basically shows like it looks like a brand new pack. So we're going to be taking a look at this. We'll look at the sort of the exterior, the interior features, the suspension, and let's talk about the construction a little bit. So heavy-duty materials throughout, all mil-spec webbing. This is, even if you look at the webbing on today's packs, and not just Osprey, but it seems a little softer. Now that could just be because it's made to be that way and it's just as tough, but this stuff just seems like it'll never rip. All 500D Cordura on the outside here, except the bottom and the top. Those are 1000D Cordura for heavy duty abrasion resistance and protection. You can literally drag this thing over rocks and it won't complain at all. The pack, it's all YKK zippers throughout. These ones on the outside here, these are heavy duty number 10 zippers, so you can't really get any better than that. I've got an aftermarket zipper pull in this one. Some of the actually, at the bottom here, it's actually a combination of 1000D and there's a layer of 200D pack cloth on the underside. So it's actually a dual layer on the bottom. You can look at some of the, it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. You can see the stitching here on some of the binding here, the edge binding, right? It's actually double stitched, which you don't see on a whole lot of packs. Certainly not at the time, and even today. Actually, let's see if I can bring it up closer. A bit closer here. So you can see, like right here, the seams are double stitched, and you'll see that throughout the pack. The thing is really bomb-proof, like I said before. So let's look at some of the other exterior features. So let's see, let's start at the bottom since I've got it here. You've got some attachment points here for extra lashing if you want to lash things to the pack, put a compression strap on it or whatever. You've got an extra large, like I said, beefy number 10 zippers. It's a dual zip, so you can have the zippers on either side. This is a sleeping bag compartment, so it's actually separated from the top part of the pack. A hip belt here, and we'll talk about what they call the Fusion suspension system. At the time, for me, it was the best one in existence. I think even today it holds up. But super beefy. We'll get to the suspension in a minute. Moving up, you've got double loops here. You've got daisy chain here, so you can lash, tools, your ice axe or whatever. Let me turn it around here. Quick releases for the top lid. This is part of the compression system, and it ties right into the suspension. Really nice the way they designed these panels so that as you tighten this strap down, it really brings the load in tight to your hips, right? It really helps with your center of gravity. You've got standard compression straps on the side here. You've got these D-rings, which are part of what Osprey calls their Speed D system. I'll talk about that in a minute. And of course, you've got the top lid here. It's got compression, as well as, again, another number 10. Is that a number 10? That might be a number 9. Anyway, it's another YKK zipper. I'm actually going to take this off to show you. It's kind of neat. So it's got 2 quick releases here. And then there's some straps. Now, so I've taken the top lid off. This is kind of cool. So this is actually what they call a converter fanny pack. And so what you can do is, you get to camp, you got your main pack there, you unpack, you set up camp, and then you want to go take a day trip, do a summit, summit a local mountain peak, or run down to the river or the lake or whatever. You can just disconnect this instead of having to pack up camp or having to bring your big bag. Take this thing off and use it as like a little waist pack. So it's got, again, more lashing tabs up here, compression straps, dual YKK zips, a big compartment in here. And again, you can see the binding even inside, right? Look at how the seams are all sealed. All right. And then you can flip this stuff around, the perimeter of the pack. And let me just put this over the top. So you can get some more compression here. You can also create a little pocket to put like a water bottle, right? And then compress it in these straps here. So slip it in here. And then you've got this bottom piece which kind of holds the water bottle up. And then on the back side, you've got this is a stiff foam pad for not only to help provide some support and shape, but also some padding against your back, because you can wear this as a butt pack. So inside here, you've got a hidden belt, and you can just, waist belt, and then you can just wear it around your waist, like I said, and head out to wherever you want to go. So pretty cool feature. Let me put this back together. I'm just going to leave this off the pack for now. Okay, so now we'll get to the top of the bag. You've got a compression strap here, quick release. It's kind of anchored here. You can kind of see right here, and you can see this this space here. This is I think they call it. What do they call it? There's a head rail. This thing called a head rail in here. I'll show you that when I open up the pack. But essentially, it creates space for your head. So let me finish off here with again your load lifters here, your straps, and then you've got your back panel. It's got a little bit of air mesh for some ventilation. It's very nicely padded. And then your lumbar pad. These packs you could buy with different size belts and harnesses and the pack bag itself. So in my case, I've got a large pack bag, all right, a medium size harness or yoke, and a medium size hip belt. Okay. Oh, and then on the side here, this thing they call a wand pocket. And it's essentially just a little pocket, a little mesh pocket. You can put in like tent poles or walking poles or, skis or whatever you want in here. So let's open it up. Got drawstring closure, storm flap. I'm going to take this pillow out. And again, pretty cavernous. I don't know if you can see in there. Pretty cavernous compartment. You see that white thing right here? This is part of the suspension system. We'll talk about it in a minute, but it's basically a Delrin plastic hoop that runs around the perimeter of the pack, and we'll go over that in a second. But that's in here. And then the other thing I wanted to show you was, well, I can't really see it. You can see how this is shaped in kind of a U shape, and that's because when you've got the pack closed up, your head sits right here. All right. So what this does is it's called a head. What do they call it? Head rail or something like that. And it basically clears out space here for your head to rest comfortably in here. So you can lean back, look up, all those kinds of things, look around. And then when you want to get into the bag or take things out of the bag, you can just pop it out. And now it opens up the space to make your bag access, your main bag access, a lot easier. So pretty cool. Really just simple, ingenious. So moving down to the bottom here, I'm going to open up the bottom part. And I'll take out the pillow. So pretty big compartment inside here. It's got a divider for your sleeping bag compartment, so you can keep this compartment separate from everything that's packed up here on top. So if you have liquids in here and they leak down, it'll help keep your sleeping gear dry. It's not 100%. I mean, you can there's an opening under here, but for the most part, it keeps it protected. Although the main purpose is not so much to protect it from liquids, but really just to keep some separation, so you can get your sleeping bag here without having to dig through the rest of the pack. This does zipper out. This divider. There's a zipper here, and it does zip out so that you can make it one giant space if you want. Okay, so that's the interior and exterior. Before we get to the suspension, I do want to talk about the Speed D system. So I mentioned earlier, I showed you these D-rings here. So let me zoom in a little bit. All right, so you've got these D-rings. And those are actually attachment points. So what you can do is Osprey made a number of different attachments throughout the years that you could throw on there. And the way they attach is using these D-rings, you would have ladder locks. Oops. So you have these ladder locks on your attachments, right? And those would literally fit. They would slot right into the D-rings like that. Right, and then you do the bottom one here, and you do the other two on the other side. I'm not going to do them up right now. Pretty ingenious system. Simple, really strong. Maybe a hair or a fraction slower to get in and out of than a traditional quick release system, but I think a little bit stronger. And the other cool thing about it is it really ties in whatever you're attaching here. Ties it into the compression system of the pack, so that now when you pull these compression straps down, right, you're taking this whole panel, whatever it is out here, you're using it to compress the whole back of the pack. So it really kind of unitizes all of this. So really ingenious system. And with using this system, you don't have all the added sort of spaghetti strap and hardware associated with making this a quick release system, like you did with the later Vector system of packs that Osprey came out with. That was sort of the next generation of this, but it used like 5 quick release buckles for each attachment, and then you had all kinds of straps everywhere. It was more complex, made for really bad spaghetti straps in my opinion, added a little bit of weight, and just not really worth it in my opinion. So this particular attachment is their shovel pocket, or shove it. It's intended to hold, I mean, you could stuff jackets in here, wet boots, whatever, clothes, rope. You could also put a shovel. So the shovel would, slot in here. This is padded so that it wouldn't rip. And then up here, then you'd lash the handle of your shovel to the daisy chain up here. So these patches I added. That's not, it's normally just a black a piece of a Cordura. Just to show some other examples, this is their detachable day pack. And again, it's a really small day pack, but it attaches with the same system of D-rings right to the back of the pack. Again, gives you some additional capacity, plus a quick detachable backpack so that you could go run around, wherever you happen to be camping without having to haul this whole thing. And then finally, this is actually a fanny pack called the Flash, and same thing. It goes right on here. Same concept as the backpack. You can detach it and run around with it without having to take your main pack. So pretty ingenious system. So now let's talk about the suspension a little bit. This is honestly the most innovative piece of this pack, in my opinion. So let's start with the hip belt. I mean, you can see this thing it's really beefy and it's anatomically formed. Osprey recommends you have this thing cradling the top of your hip bone, the iliac crest, and that's your sort of pivot point. If you look at the side here, you've got these 2 compression straps which tie the load in really tight into your hips. And same with this one we showed earlier, that vertical sort of angled compression strap, right? The same thing, right? Brings the weight of the main pack up here right down into your hips, right where your center of gravity is. And then you'll notice also, you can't see it, but this little wing here, inside of there is that white Delrin hoop that I talked about earlier. So again, that's part of the suspension. You can see the perimeter of it coming up around here, and then it goes around here, and then it comes around and goes back down to the other side. It's under tension all the time, so again, it provides not only an anchor point for suspension components, but it also brings the pack in tight to your body. It kind of seals it to your back. Brings your the weight in tight to your back, and gives you additional load control, and really makes the pack feel like it's a part of you when you're walking around, running, whatever, jumping, climbing. So that's really ingenious, and we'll go into the rest of this now. So hip belt. Now, one thing it doesn't have that a lot of modern packs do, there's no pockets here, or there's no, say, molly straps, or to attach pals components like water bottle holders or whatever. So you don't have any of that. Not a big deal. You can thread things through these straps, which I've done in the past, and that works okay, especially once this thing's all tightened up. But so here's a lumbar pad. It just kind of flips out like that. And then in here, you can see these aluminum stays. I mean, these are beefy aluminum stays. And this is the heart of the suspension, right? And you can see that they are stitched in with, I think this is like scuba diving belt material. It's not Cordura. It's super thick, super beefy. And let me try to zoom in on that. So you can kind of see how the stays come in, and there's 2, one on each side. Those go up all the way up to here. to this point. They should be formed to fit the contours of your back, so they can be taken out. In fact, the whole belt can be taken off here. You undo these straps on either side. I can show you that right now, actually. Boom, easy, right? And then you undo these compression straps, etc. And so here are the stays. Just pull them out, right? And then bend them to fit the contours of your back. But, I mean, these things are beefy. And then this, right here, these straps that I showed that are tied directly into the belt, that's actually your shoulder harness or yoke system. I know a lot of packs, they use Velcro to adjust the height of your shoulder yoke or harness. They'll have a field of Velcro back here, and then you set the height you want, and then you just kind of, and that's great. I mean, that gives you kind of infinite adjustability. Works with especially with the loads that most people are putting these things. If I were going to put 100 pounds in my pack, I would not trust that. Now that's just me. I don't have any experience to back that up. I'm sure it's fine. But this is strapped in. This is a real sound mechanical attachment. And I much prefer this. If I'm going to be carrying a ton of weight, this is the way I want to do it, right? So anyway, you can see that the harness kind of slides back and forth, up and down, right? That's how you set your height. Actually, I forgot. I have to first anchor my stays on the belt, then slide it in, then do up these straps, and on either side. Now this thing is rock solid. And then again, this just tucks in here and back together. Again, you've got some mesh here for ventilation. It's very nicely padded. This is a little stiffer, really good support on your lumbar. The shoulder harness is, it's got also a recurve S shape. And then of course the sternum strap. Very comfortable. And then you got these load lifters. And you can kind of see, the load lifters here. You tighten these to raise the shoulder straps, and that puts more weight on your hips. And you can dramatically feel the weight transfer when you're wearing this thing loaded up and hiking or walking around. If you release these load lifters, you can just feel the weight come right back to your shoulders. So again, very easy to transfer weight back and forth depending on what kind of load you're carrying, what kind of terrain you're on, or just your comfort level at the time, right? Maybe your shoulders are tired, so I'm gonna crank it up, move that weight back down to my hips, and then an hour later my hips are tired, so I want to give them a break and loosen that up and put the weight back on my shoulders. So pretty ingenious system. Here's your carry handle, of course. So I think that's about it. I think I covered all the features of the Osprey Highlander. This pack obviously is no longer made. Again, this one is from, I think, 1992. It's about 4,000 cubic inches. Actually, I think it's like 4,200 before you add on any additional attachments or anything. Super comfortable, really good load carriage, handles the weight really well, and is still one of my favorite packs of all time. So I think that covers it. I hope I haven't missed anything. Hope you found this at least educational to a certain degree, especially if you're looking for one of these old vintage packs. They're all over the place on eBay. Not this particular one. The Highlander itself of this vintage actually doesn't come up very often that I've seen. But you look at the various sites, hiking sites out there, or eBay, or some of the sites in Japan, actually, believe it or not. They have a lot of Osprey gear, especially a lot of the more rare Osprey vintage gear in Japan. Yeah, this was a great pack, and it still is a great pack. And hopefully this was helpful to folks who are interested in these older packs or maybe in purchasing one. You know, most of the packs of this era were built the same way with the similar features. They would vary in capacity or maybe one or two advanced features, like you might have a stuff it sack in here for your sleeping bag, whereas this one doesn't have that. But I mean, you know, it's basically a thing you can hold it and as you help you stuff your sleeping bag in there. I don't know, not a big deal. To me, this was the sweet spot. It was the right size. It wasn't too big. You know, I wasn't going on 2-week expeditions, but it also had all of the bomb-proof construction and the design elements that I wanted from their pack line. So again, obviously this is from my perspective, but but there you go. That's the Osprey Highlander, circa 1992. You know, and again, go out and look on eBay if you're interested in packs of this vintage. There are a ton out there, and part of that is because they are so bulletproof. There's so many just still floating around that people are using, and they just don't break. And if they do break, then you just send it back to Osprey and take advantage of their almighty guarantee. You know, they fall under that warranty. Basically, any pack made by Osprey back to 1974 falls under that warranty. Any reason, any product, any era, or however it goes. I have taken advantage of that warranty repair process in the past. It's great. They, you know, seamless customer experience. Send my pack in. I think they do them in Colorado, in Cortez, if I remember correctly. And then they'll fix and repair it back to the standards of the pack when it was built. And so even if it's not a warranty issue per se, right? I wear it out, right? I snapped this strap because I dropped it on a rock, or whatever. They'll repair it, you know, free of charge. It's great. And this pack is covered by it in all their packs of this era and older. So again, really great company to deal with, make great innovative products, and this is a classic as far as I'm concerned. So I think that'll do it. Thanks everyone for taking the time and watching, and we'll see you in the next one.